Organic is really the first bit of significant use to you. And organic is a long-term strategy. You get visitors to your website for free with organic. You're putting effort in and people are finding you on Google. And the way it works is Google, I sort of do my Google logo there, they are constantly scanning internet. Every page, every link, every connection, every social networking profile, they're just constantly sending their tentacles out using these things called spiders or crawlers, or ironically, maybe aptly, I've drawn something that looks like a spider, but it's very, very poorly spider. And they are following links through, and they are looking at the content on the page, and they're saying, what is this page about? Okay? And Google is, don't forget, an incredibly smart product that's been around for the best part of 10 years, some seriously bright people building it, and it's a really sophisticated, smart engine. And it's tracking everything. It's looking at the video content, it's looking at your text, it's looking at the photos, what you titled the photos. To give you a good example of how smart it is, Google obviously owns YouTube, and it will scan the video and the audio of the video, and it will do transcription of that, so it will try and target advertising against the words in the video. And that works really well sometimes, but it also works really badly sometimes. If it's a video about George Bush, for example, it might give you a video of a hedge trimmer. So it works really well on occasion, but other times it's really looking at all of these things to say, right, what's this page about, okay? And in the past, how to appear high on Google used to be, this is sort of 5 or 6 years ago, it used to be about getting people with authority, with credibility to link to you. So for example, if the Eastern Enterprise Hub website mentioned you, Google would be looking at all these websites and go, oh, that's interesting. So EEH has mentioned this particular business. Oh, yeah, we'll give it a thumbs up, okay? Because Eastern Enterprise Hub looks like quite a good website. And it would be looking at your website and it would be sort of ticking a number of boxes to say, is it a legitimate website? Is it good content? Is it updated frequently? Is it built professionally as well? Has it been structured in the right way? Is everything kind of technically sound? And it'd be rewarding the links through. And that spawned a whole industry of people that are all about getting your links as many places as possible. These days, it doesn't work like that whatsoever. And Google has recognised that the way we use the internet has changed massively, and it's not really a sensible tactic to see who is linking to who. Instead, it's all about who is talking about you. And social media is key in this space. So Google's PageRank, and this is what it's called, these days is looking more at the social networking profiles to see who is talking about whatever the term is that's being searched for, and it will then be smart enough to show higher results for people that are being talked about more. A really good example, that's a bit of a simple example, is if you search for the word website, one of the top results you'll get, depending on whether you're looking on a mobile or desktop computer or laptop, is you'll get Banksy.com. And Banksy's website is a Flash-based website. It doesn't have the word website anywhere. But so many people are on Twitter saying, have a look at Banksy's website, that Google is going, oh, the word website appears quite frequently when people are talking about Banksy, so we'll show Banksy's website for the word website, for example. So what this means for you is if you want to be active and you want to be higher ranked in organic search, you need to be really active on social media yourself. You also need to be getting as many people talking about you and your work as possible, but also talking about you in the right way, of course, using the right terms that you want to be found on, but also any content that you produce, whether that's a tweet, whether that's a Facebook post, whether it's a video, whether that's a photo that you upload, a blog post, a Spotify playlist, a YouTube channel, an Etsy profile, whatever it is, Google will find it, and you want to be talking about yourself consistently in the same way across all of your profiles, all of your channels. And it doesn't mean you have to be active all the time. I'm not saying you need to go out now and have a profile in every place, but it just means being active on the right ones. So Google rewards people who are active on social media. If you are creating new content, if you're adding a photo onto your Flickr profile, or if you're doing a Facebook post a day, Google likes that, it prefers that than to someone who posts something once a month. If you have a Google Plus profile, for example, this is a bit of a special example, Google really likes that because it says, oh, that's good. That person's taken the effort to add a listing to Google Plus about their business. And Google is smart enough to fulfill what we call the jigsaw puzzle in a way, which is Google will know that your Twitter profile is the same person as your Facebook page, which is the same person as your YouTube channel. It's smart enough to make those links. And when it does make those links, if you structure your profiles in such a way to enable it to make those links, it will boost you up even higher. So how can you get higher in the Google rankings? Well, the first thing is, if you haven't got a website, do have a website. Google loves a nice, simple domain website address. If you haven't got a website address, get a website address. It costs about $2.99 for a year, and it's a really nice way of Google recognising that that is the official website for you. So when you put if someone's looking for you, you will appear first, because Google says, well look, if I'm searching for Amazon, for example, anyone who owns the domain Amazon.com must be the real deal. So it likes official domain names. Make sure if you haven't, you at least have registered the profile names on Facebook and Twitter and any other of the main social networking sites. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to register it under your brand or your name if it's not available. So you mustn't panic if, I don't know, Smith Street Designs is gone, as long as whatever you register is relevant. So Smith Street Designs UK would be absolutely fine. As long as it's consistent across all your profiles. Try and keep the same name for your YouTube channel, for a Facebook page, for your Twitter profile if you have. And if you don't have these, don't panic about it. I'll tell you why you shouldn't panic in a minute. Google will say, be creating content regularly. They do like to see a fairly routine update, because Google will repeatedly and regularly refresh its scanning, and it can look at your website time and time again. If it's the same, it will kind of demote you a little bit in search results. So do be adding content, and make that content original content. So it likes people who write original things. And what I mean by that is, don't copy and paste the same block of text on your Twitter profile as your Facebook status update as a blog post, because Google hates duplicate content. It thinks it's plagiarised, and it will penalise websites that have it. So if, for example, again, let's say you feature in whatever the local newspaper is here, don't just copy the article and plop it into your blog. Write a blog post that says, I featured in this news article, they said, and make a snippet or two, but don't copy, because Google doesn't like plagiarism, or at least it thinks it's plagiarised. So Google loves original, new, refreshed, up-to-date, recent content.
Can I just ask
Yes.
on that? If I was to, because I'm not very good at social media, but I was told if you post on, say, Facebook, it will automatically go to your Twitter feed and stuff. Is that something that Google doesn't like?
You can sync it up to do that. It's not that it doesn't like it. I mean, that's quite a low-level synchronizing. That's fine. It's more that it's more big blocks of text it doesn't like. So with Twitter, obviously, you're limited to 140 characters, and so it's fine. It kind of recognises that that's going to duplicate a lot of text. Because in 140 characters, sometimes you just have to, say the same thing as many people. It's more that if you have a blog, for example, make sure that whenever you write something, you do write it, you don't copy and paste. If you are referencing someone else's work, or someone else that you've exhibited with, or something you've seen, just don't kind of copy and paste chunks wholesale. Try and tweak what you're doing as best possible. And a really practical example of that is, let's say you're on Facebook and you add a photo. Well, let's say you've got a whole series of photos of I don't know, an event that you attended, and you want to upload those to an album. Well, Facebook gives you the option to give each photo a name and a description. Now, the first thing is, do that. Google loves rich content. This is called metadata. So Google loves it when someone makes the effort to fill in all the fields that it asks, whether it's on Facebook or Flickr or wherever. Just give it a lovely title and description, but make the effort to make each description relevant and unique to the picture. If, for example, you upload your photos to Facebook and every picture was titled My Exhibition in Ipswich, that's what I mean. Google doesn't really like that, because it says, well, I can't really tell what it is. And as a user, and imagine this is how they're viewing your website or your Facebook page or Twitter, whatever it is. Imagine they're viewing it as a user. Is that content helpful to me? Well, no, because I don't know what it is. If I was just looking at the titles, I couldn't tell what the actual object was. So it's fine to sync up Facebook and Twitter, and in fact, quite common to do that. But if you can just make things even slightly different, do so. If you can make if you can occasionally post a tweet onto Twitter that you haven't posted onto Facebook, then that's better than having exactly the same content on both. But don't panic. It's not going to like going to put you on some blacklist and say that's it. You're never going to appear on Google ever again, and we're going to close your website down. It's not going to work like that. So you don't have to panic. But it's just if you are more industrious, more active, try and avoid significant duplication. Essentially. Finally, a more technical thing. So when you are adding content, like I say, make sure that you filled in the fields, you've got the title, you've got the description, all really useful, and make sure that if you have a blog or a website, it's all set up correctly. So just making sure that you tag your content when you have the opportunity to do so. So if you've got a WordPress blog, for example, and if you do, but if anyone does have a WordPress blog, it lets you categorise any blog post, it lets you put a tag against it. Same with Flickr. If you upload any photos to Flickr, if you happen to be on Flickr, it lets you tag your content accordingly. Make sure you do. The more data you give to Google about what it is there, the more relevant it will be. And what you'll find is, over time, more and more of your content will find its way onto Google. More of your photos will find its way onto the Google image search. More and more of your blog posts, your tweets, your whatever they are, will start appearing in organic search. But it is a long-term thing. And when I say it's a long-term thing, this is something I've tried to explore with some of the other creative businesses in Eastleigh and down in Bournemouth and other locations. You just have to trust that it works. You're not going to get millions of visitors or hundreds of thousands of visitors to your website in the space of a year. You're not going to get hundreds of thousands of visitors to your website in 3 years or even 5 years possibly. I mean, 5 years you might do. This is something you've built up over time. And whenever you've got a business, view your digital marketing as a long-term thing. You are building up your brand slowly but surely. But the value of your brand, the value of your business, the value of you as an artist, the value of you as a Speedway clothing manufacturer, the value of you as a technology startup, the value of you as a fine artist is built up over time. And it's that reputation that you've got over time that gives you the organic traffic. So if you look, I'm trying to think of a really sort of pithy example, but if you look at, and again this is more mainstream, but someone like Emma Bridgewater. Emma Bridgewater started off as a ceramicist, and she was in exactly the same position you would have been in, out of a college or an arts background or creative background, with a product and a brand. I thought, this is quite nice, I've got a certain style, a certain design process, a certain way of visualising my products, and I've got no audience. But one day she has 10 people visit her blog and 20 people visit her Facebook page, and even if you increase that by one visitor a day, after 10 years you suddenly find yourself with a very sizable audience, and of course being proactive accelerates that growth. So organic won't happen overnight, but you just have to trust me, because it will happen if you're active and you're productive and you're posting the right stuff and you're writing and being as active as you can. You don't have to be doing everything all the time. We'll come on to social media about how you just do the basics right. If you do the basics right, I predict, and I can categorically state with authority that visitors will come, that success will come, that over time you will start getting traffic. And once you start getting traffic, well, suddenly there's a point at which it flips, and you'll suddenly start saying to yourself, well, I know it's a bit of a pain in the backside doing social media in the past, and I don't have time, but I actually need to do it now. Like, I can't not do it because I've got 1,000 followers on Twitter, and it'd be a bit odd if I didn't tweet for a day. Or actually, 10,000 people like my page, it's going to be damaging to my brand if I don't post a Facebook page over the weekend, for example. And if you're panicking about that, that's great, because you're halfway to being successful if that's the case. That's a fantastic position to be in. That I think is why some people are really terrified or scared or concern about social media because they sort of think, well, why should I bother doing it? You know, I've got 20 friends who like my Facebook page. You know, if I don't do anything, it's not going to matter. Fine, but at some point, you won't have 20 friends. You will have 200, 2,000, 20,000 fans, and you will be an established brand, depending, of course, on your industry and your target audience and who you're dealing with. So view it as a long-term thing and just trust that it will work. I'm not going to talk about how you measure it, but there are ways of measuring your organic reach. And obviously, if you've got any sort of analytics or on your website, or blog, you can track where people are coming from. But your aim, and this feeds into the social media side of things, is that the proportion of people coming to you, the proportion of people entering your funnel who have found you organically or directly, you want that to be as high as possible because it's essentially free. I know you've got to invest time in doing it, but you're not paying for every person to visit you. And they tend to be quite qualified as well. Not as PPC, but you want that to be as high as possible. So you'll see that your percentage of organic, you want it to sort of